In our next example, we will be part of the investigative team to investigate brand infringement and counterfeit goods sales online. In this case, we would be working with Rolex or part of the Rolex team and trying to find the online resources where that particular activities could have happened. For that, we again execute our regular expression where DNS DB Scout Flexible Search, the new functionality we have announced on October 20th, 2020. Quite powerful tool which allows us to do queries and searches which were not really be possible to do before. What is that we are trying to do now? We're trying to find host names where Rolex would follow or coexist with sale, cheap, or offer. As we can understand, Rolex unlikely would do that kind of activities online. And let's see whether there is anything which is in the last maybe year. January 1st, midnight, and we execute this search. We would be interested in some relatively recent activities. What we expect to see would be the hosts which potentially have prepared by their owners to host websites offering Rolex online. If you go through these host names, we would see that there are indeed some activities which could potentially be very suspicious. And there are quite a lot of these hosts for us to go through. Let's say we would want to investigate something of this nature, rolex.paypal-sales.com. Something tells us that unlikely would be a site related to Rolex itself. And PayPal Sales is also the name which unlikely would be some legitimate. At least we have some suspicions on our side. What can we see here, as in the previous case as well? We can go through and check what are other domains and hosts are on this IP. Or what we can do now is to take a look at what are other domains are being served by the same name server. What we will do now would be, first we need to find a name server for this domain. Once we found this, and there are plenty of those, what we will do next is we construct a query which will ask DNSDB, the historical passive DNS database, to tell us what are other domains use this name server as their name server. We executed what we call the right-hand side query, going through resource data where that particular name server was in a data field. And as you can see, we have a lot of the domains. Some of those might be indeed be suspicious. Or maybe eBay or Nike did it as a defense mechanism, but as you can see here, we definitely have a lot of the domains, and based on our experience and understanding of the malicious landscape, we can cast some judgment on our findings. To summarize what we have done, As a counterfeit officers and brand protection officers, we'll look at the Rolex sales, chip, offer, host names, which would consist of these keywords. We constructed regular expression and we executed our queries. As you can see, the number of queries can rise very quickly in number. Doing it through graphical interface would not necessarily be very efficient. For that, you would need to use direct calls to API or use command line utilities to script these activities. And to learn, the Scout can help you to do so because using the recent queries log, you would see what specific queries you would need to construct the same way as DNS DB Scout did, and that would facilitate you learning of the command line interface or API calls for automation.